Welcome to Books and Things with Tom. And as usual, we have an exciting guest tonight. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations that do so much out there and so much good for people. And this is one of them. I try to get as many as in front of you so that you can learn about them, make donations, or maybe they can help you. This one was introduced to me by Tish Roby, who was on my show a few months ago, and it's called Reach Out and Read program. And Tish had written a special book, it's on the table here, just for this organization. It is my pleasure to introduce Christine Garber. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
I think it's an exciting program. From all I know is what Tish had explained to me.
Well,
and I was going to get down the list of your accomplishments, but it's a whole page here.
Yeah.
You've been busy. So
yes.
Tell us what the program is.
So Reach Out and Read it's actually a national organization, national nonprofit organization. And our mission is we give young children a foundation for success by integrating books into pediatric care and encouraging families to read aloud together. So, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What we do is during pediatric well child visits, so when not sick visits, but the standard well child visits when children come in, for children ages 5 years and younger, our pediatricians are trained in early literacy, and they speak to the parents about why it's so important to be reading to children from birth. And then starting at the 6-month visit, they start incorporating a book in the exam. So we have some books on the table. This would be an example of one of the books. The book that Tish wrote, which is this one, is another example. So the doctor uses the book, gives the book at the beginning of the well child visit, and uses it as a developmental surveillance tool. So at well child visits, what the doctors are trying to do is see if children are reaching certain milestones based on whatever age they are. And so what they're trained to do is to use the book to get that information. So one thing they might do at say a 2-year-old visit, they might hand the book to the child upside down and see what they do. So if a 2-year-old, right, you would expect a 2-year-old would know to turn it the right way, would know it's a book, would know what to do with it, and
maybe. I don't know if I would have.
So this is what they're trying to find out. Yeah. So if they do that, and if they look up at their parent, like, read this to me, they know that there's a child that the parent has been reading. They also know that the child has joint attention, so they don't have to worry about some problems, developmental problems, that would be missing, if they had them. So that's how it helps with the developmental surveillance.
And I imagine it teaches whether he's left or right-handed, too.
It may as well. So they use the book really to get information that they're trying to get anyway at that visit. So they might also, depending on the age, they might want to see their fine motor skills. Can they turn the pages, when it's appropriate, a 6-month-old.
So something as simple as a book.
And the doctors who deliver Reach Out and Read, when it's a well child visit, they want to go in with a book probably more than they want to go in with their stethoscope, because they get used to doing it. It's also a way, if they need to talk to the parent, and it occupies the child, so they have some time to talk to the parent, which of course they want to talk to the parent. And then, so it's a developmental surveillance tool, but of course it's also a gift. So the child can obviously take the book home. We use new books for all the well child visits, and we do that for a few reasons. because we're talking about such a young population, they put them in their mouths.
Yeah.
So for hygiene, we go with the
Good
new
idea.
books.
Yeah.
But also, we focus on the low-income population because research shows that they are at the highest risk for reading failure, school failure, and we want them to have books that are special because they might not have any other books. In fact, a lot of kids in our program, these are the only books that they get, are their Reach Out and Read books. So we try to get quality books, and we want them to be nice. We want them to treasure them. That we want them to be special for these children.
Sure.
Really for all children.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we use new books.
Now, how old is this organization?
So Reach Out and Read started in 1989, so
Really?
it's 27.
Wow.
It started in Boston, so not far from here, and it was developed by a group of educators and pediatricians, and it's a little bit of a funny story how it really started.
Yeah.
The staff at the clinic, at the pediatric clinic, had been bringing in gently used books and leaving them in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And every day they'd come in and they'd be like, the books are gone again. I can't believe all the books are gone again. So some people were like, well, we should not be bringing them in. People are just taking them.
Yeah.
And then some people were saying, well, if they're taking them, maybe they need them, and maybe
Yeah.
we should bring in more. And so it was a little bit of an argument, and but that's sort of how Reach Out and Read was born.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Well, it stands to reason. It's a great idea. Now, do you buy the books?
We buy most of the books.
Uh-huh.
So nationally, because it is a national organization, so nationally we have a large reach, 4.5 million children we reach nationally, and we give out about 6.5 million new books every year,
Oh, my.
which is a huge number, okay? In Connecticut, we reach about 40,000 children, so this is all kids 5 and under. And we give out about 75,000 new books in Connecticut every year. So we do buy most of them. It does keep me up at night figuring out how we're going to purchase these books every year because kids are being born every day.
Oh, yeah, you're not getting the books back.
And we don't want the books back. You know, they're for the kids. So you have to come up with 75,000 new books every year. Scholastic has been a tremendous partner, and we're able to buy books at, in bulk. I mean, we're buying books in bulk, clearly,
Yeah.
at deep discounts. Barnes & Noble in Connecticut and nationally has been great to us. They have chosen us to be their nonprofit partner at the holiday time,
Yeah.
so we get book donations like that. But yeah, I mean, we don't get tons of new book donations, at least not in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Scholastic does usually donate books nationally to us every year, but most of them we purchase.
Yeah, because there's not many publishers that.
Yeah, I mean there are
children's
some,
books,
but Scholastic is obviously
Yeah,
huge.
they're big.
They're big. And we tried, like I was saying, we try to pick books that are quality books. Some of the classics, I didn't bring any of the classics, but some of the classics, like A Goodnight Moon, we want all kids to have Goodnight Moon and Runaway Bunny, and some of
I'm
those.
beyond that. I haven't read those in a couple of years.
So yeah, we can always use. So we're a little picky about the books. We try not to give out holiday-themed books. We don't really give out like potty training books, but we try to have quality books. And then we also have different languages. So Spanish is the most popular because, of course, you have kids even in Connecticut and nationally that English is not their first language.
That's right.
Actually, we just got a whole bunch of Arabic books. So we get books. There's a company out of Boston, Starbright Books, that makes a lot of children's books in a lot of different languages. We try and get bilingual. This one's bilingual Spanish.
I think Tish said hers.
Tish wrote
Came
a
up.
bilingual one for us.
Yeah.
She made a bilingual version because we need them. A lot of our materials are bilingual. And some of them, we have Portuguese, Arabic, Spanish. Gosh, we probably have 13 or 14 that we can choose from, different languages from Starbright.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's great. It's helpful
Yeah.
because if the parents only speak their home or their native language, I think that they're more comfortable
Sure.
to be reading to their children if it's in, obviously, their home language.
If that's their only language, they want to be able to talk to the kid in the same language.
Exactly. I mean, what we do if they didn't have a book that was in their native language, the doctors would just tell them to make up a story.
Huh.
So, or if a parent might have trouble reading themselves,
Yeah.
or intimidated or something like that, you don't have to read the words off the page. It's really about that serve and return, that dialogue between you and the child, even if it's a little baby. Because they're still babbling, you just can't understand them. So you just make up stories about the pictures, and that's called dialogic reading, and that's what Tish's book does.
That's an amazing book.
Yes, so Tish's book has questions in it, so it has the text,
Yeah.
and then it has questions in it on the bottom of the page to help teach parents dialogic reading. And to be quite honest with you, it's not just low-income parents that don't know dialogic reading.
No.
Lots of educated people do not know dialogic reading.
I got a kick out of that because it says, as a question there, it says, what are the cats doing? Or
Right,
what?
right.
And normally you look at something like that, you just keep reading, and you don't stop to think that there's other questions in there that you can help with a kid. I would just read the whole book, put it down.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, which is perfectly fine, and your child is going to get a lot out of that. But research does show if you do this dialogic reading, so that you can read, so read the text and then ask a question. What color shirt is the bunny wearing? Where's the dog on the page? What color's the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, these are simple questions, but if you're not a creative person, it's not always that
'cause
easy.
I can remember reading that and saying, oh, look at the dog, what's he doing? And try to get him to talk.
You try and get them to talk. That's exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, but this is amazing. And we got a picture here of the doctors showing the books. Oh, that's one of the doctors, yeah.
Yep. So that's a young
That's a
parents,
little
yeah.
baby.
Yeah, because we right. I mean, we start at the newborn visit. That one's a little bit older. The doctors are really what sets us apart from all other early literacy programs, because we're the only program that uses the existing healthcare system to deliver a early literacy program.
Well, that's neat because the parent is going in there and a doctor is giving them the book.
It's sort of brilliant, right?
It is.
So there's a lot of positives
She is
to
going to
this.
listen to the doctor more than sit a book on a table.
That's exactly right. So by using pediatricians, there are so many benefits to using pediatricians. One, we have near universal access to all kids, right? Where do all the kids go? It doesn't matter what their parents make, they all go to the doctors.
Yeah.
We try to be in centers that take Medicaid, Husky here in Connecticut, or uninsured people, uninsured families, so that we can try to really focus on that community. But all kids go to the doctor, so we have near universal access to all children, but also to their parents, right? Because their parents are bringing them. And that's what you really need for kids 5 and under. You need to educate their parents, because, the 6-month-old can't read the book to themselves, right? So you have to educate the parent, and you have to let the parent know this is really important. Reading 15, 20 minutes a day to your child, it's really important. And I know you're busy, and.
And at that age, they're going to sponge up here.
And that's why
sucking up everything.
Exactly. That's why we focus on that age group, because 90% of early brain development happens in those 0 to 5, and really the peak is 0 to 3.
Wow.
So your brain I mean, too bad we didn't know this at the time, but we don't know when we're 0 to 3, but our brain does, that's when it rapidly develops. There's no other period in your life where your brain is developing that rapidly.
Wow.
From 0 to 3.
And that's how they manage to get to talk so early.
Right, and that's where, families that are bilingual, that's how the kids can pick it up so quickly when they're that young, because their brains are a sponge. As opposed to like if I tried to learn another language right now. I mean, it would be very difficult.
See, I grew up bilingual because my grandmother was Portuguese, and she spoke very little English.
Okay.
My parents refused. They talked to each other in Portuguese, but they refused to teach me Portuguese because they had such a tough time in school. And so I had to learn both languages. You got your grandmother talking Portuguese, you got your mother talking in English. Going, I'm sure I was confused.
But it's actually really good for you,
Really,
even though you were probably confused at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I still can't really speak it, but I understand it.
Right. Oh, yeah. So there you go.
It's been years.
Yeah.
But it's just. It's valuable to have two languages.
We are like one of the only countries that we're not bilingual, that most people aren't bilingual, which is
because everybody
sad.
learns English until they come to the United States, so we got to learn whatever that tells them. Now, if a local family wants to get involved with something like this,
well, they can contact me for sure.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways to get involved. Okay, so clearly we're buying 75,000 books a year, so we need individual donations, and perhaps the organization that you work for might make a matching donation. And it really does make sense. We can buy books at such a lower cost that it sort of does make sense to. Although we take new book donations, but your dollar can go a little further if we actually buy the book, because we can probably buy it for half the price that you're going to get it at retail. But I love to get kids involved in the program. Kids can do book drives, especially Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, or schools. They could do it in conjunction with a holiday. Dr. Seuss's birthday is coming up, Read Across America, or at Thanksgiving, we do, lots of organizations do food drives and toy drives at Christmas. They could do a book drive.
Sure.
We do accept gently used children's books because we put those in the waiting room, and kids can take them home. Or when kids come in for a sick visit, or if a sibling tags along to the well child visit. If one child's getting a book, you sort of want the other child to get a book. So we definitely do use book donations. We also kids can do traditional fundraisers. They can do car washes and bake sales or a readathon. I'd love to have a school do a readathon, for Reach Out and Read. And that's sort of kids helping other kids. They could adopt one of our, pick one of our. We have 72 programs in Connecticut. Pick. Your school could pick. A certain practice, and all the books go to them, or all the donations go to that. So you really feel invested in it.
Now, do you go around contacting physicians to get them to join?
Well, usually what happens, we do that sometimes. We are in all the residency programs in Connecticut, so the doctors are learning about this in residency. So when they come out of residency, if there isn't a Reach Out and Read program where they go, then they often come to us and say, oh, we want to have Reach Out and Read. We also do, we have doctors that speak at different events and literacy conferences. And so when other doctors hear about it, they tend to come to us, or they hear about it from a colleague, or they moved from a state, or they moved and they used to have a Reach Out and Read program where they came from, and now where they're going to doesn't. So they're like, let's bring Reach Out and Read. And we do sometimes do targeted outreach. If there's grant funding and we, in a certain area, then we'll contact the doctors in that area. So it kind of happens in a few different ways.
Now, if I take my son to a certain doctor, but he doesn't participate in your program, Is there a way that I can have him contact you to get involved in your
If you
program?
hand out my business cards, you can.
Okay.
You can have them just go to the Reach Out and Read website, www.reachoutandread.org.
Because I'm sure if they don't know about it, they'd probably like to get involved in it.
Well, doctors love it because who doesn't love giving a book to a child,
And the
right?
kid's not crying for it either.
That's right.
Those needles, they cry.
That's right. That's right. We so you can just say, Reach Out and Read. Go on their website, and then there's links, and they can find us.
So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, Reach Out and
Yep.
Read, and your website is up there someplace.
Yep.
But I think it's a great idea.
And we have a lot of research behind it. We didn't really talk about that, but we're supported by the American Academy of Pediatrics. And in 2014, they came out with a new policy statement making literacy in books a standard part of pediatric primary care. And then we also have 15 independent research studies, all published in medical journals, that show that what we're doing works, and kids are developing early literacy skills, and parents are, what we're really trying to do is get parents to read more to their children. And by them reading more often, the early literacy skills, those oral language skills, they just naturally develop.
Yeah.
So,
and plus it's getting the parent closer to the kid all the time.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's
We
so
probably
much
don't
this
have time
does.
for it. That's the whole social, emotional part of Reach Out and Read. There's so many layers, but it's that bonding.
Yeah.
The brain needs that bonding with an adult in order to develop normally, and this is a way to help that, because it does help with the bonding and the whole social emotional piece that's so important for our children, for our whole society. Really, at this point.
I'll bring it up at my next CAPA meeting, and like I said, we've got a bunch of children's authors, and maybe they can send you a book or something to see if you're interested.
Right.
Or you come to the meeting and I'll have them bring the books. And
have them bring their books. But
some of these are really good. Yeah. and if it's good for me, it's really bad. And then we have YA or young adult books, authors, and we've got everybody. Now, you got a couple events coming up, because I don't know how much time we have left. I just want to make sure we cover some of this.
Sure.
International Book Giving Day.
Yeah, which is also known as Valentine's Day, February 14th, but International Book Giving Day. And we'll have information on our website and on our social media about that. And then World Read Aloud Day, which is really important, February 24th, because that's reading aloud is actually, research shows it's the single most important activity a parent can do to develop the skills that children need to read.
Yeah.
So everyone should read that day to their children.
I do that a lot myself. It's just sitting in my apartment. I read a lot.
You
It's aloud.
read aloud a lot.
Actually, I proofread out loud.
Yes.
And because when you say it, oh, no.
Right. That doesn't sound right.
But you can just
Exactly.
glance over it and you make a mistake.
Yep.
So reading out loud, that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Reading Out Loud Day, February 24th, so we want everybody to be reading out loud to their children. Even if they can read independently, you can still read out loud to your children.
Wow.
And then we have the Cat in the Hat Ball on February 27th at Mitchell College, and Tish is going to be there, and I have never been to this before, so I'm really excited about it. And I'm not really sure what to expect. But
Do they have Cat in the Hat there?
I don't know. I hope I don't have to be the cat in the hat.
Get a big hat and maybe Tish is.
So, but I think that should be fun. They've had that for years and years at Mitchell College. And then we're going to host, or hopefully host, our first kickball tournament in May. We got this idea from another Reach Out and Read, not sure which state, might have been Pennsylvania, but they had their residents do a kickball tournament, against each other to raise funds for the Reach Out and Read programs. So we thought, well, let's try and do that. So we're working on that, which should be fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I started going through this just in time, because you just flipped up 5 minutes, so we got about 4 minutes left.
Good. So those are the big events that
That's
that are
cool.
coming up.
So if anybody wants to attend something about this, you can go online. And
Yep. We have, like everyone, we're everywhere. We have our website, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. We're everywhere.
it's too busy.
It's a lot of information.
It is.
It's
And
a
it
lot
takes
of
so much to do
information.
that every day. And
Right.
so I get lost sometimes. I forget to update everything. I got 3 pages myself, and it just...
I know, right? Luckily, I have help, and it's a nice young college grad who, it's so easy for her to do it. They're just sort of born with it.
Well, I think this has been fantastic. I like the program.
Well, thank you. I love
think
it.
It sounds so easy.
It is, and it's so expensive, so inexpensive. $100 puts one child through the whole 5 years of the program.
Really?
$100. That's it. It
Wow.
is so inexpensive. It should be in every pediatric clinic, and
Yeah.
I wish we had state funding. I mean, it would really start to reach the young kids in our
Yeah, because I'm
state.
sure there's an awful lot of doctors that don't know anything about this.
I'm sure, right? And we could reach all the children. Connecticut has the highest achievement gap in the nation, sadly, and we need it. We need it for our low-income kids and our kids that English isn't their first language. Illiteracy is a big problem.
I had a guy on a couple months ago on the illiteracy of Connecticut or something or other, and he was saying there's 40,000 people, I think, in New London County that
Alone?
can't speak English.
I have
Or read English.
Or read English. I brought the stats with me. I don't know if we have time. I'll say them quick. 44, and these are national. 44 million adults are unable to read a simple story to their child.
That's sad.
50% of adults can't read a book written at an 8th grade reading level. What were some of the other ones? This was surprising. 44% of U.S. adults do not read even one book a year. That's sad.
It
I
is
don't
sad.
think your association would be happy about that, your authors. So illiteracy, it's a big problem in the U.S.
It is. It is. And we had a guy famous around here, Captain Henry, who was 96 years old. He learned how to read. And then wrote a book.
Well, good for him.
And then unfortunately passed
Passed away.
But that was, and it was through the literacy program that he learned how to read.
Right.
I got a couple of announcements to make.
All right.
Next week, we're going to be discussing nursing homes or rehab centers. And Monique Terrelac from the Groton Regency will be here and discuss why you have to go to a convalescent home, or if you expect to get out, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. Friday the 12th of February has several significances. It's President Lincoln's birthday, number one. Number two, it's my son's 43rd birthday. It would have been his 43rd birthday. And it's the beginning of the fish fries at the Porktuck VFW every Friday during Lent. So come on down because there's delicious fish and chips. Can you believe this weather? I mean, this is
I know.
unbelievable.
I love it.
And it's not a January thaw because we haven't had a freeze, so therefore we can't have a thaw.
Right.
And right now it's like 50 degrees out there, and it's going to snow tonight.
It's New England for you.
I don't understand that. They're talking 3 to 5 inches tonight.
Right.
I'll be home. That's okay.
Yeah.
Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Guys, there is nothing worse than forgetting to get your someone special a box of chocolates at least, or even a candy bar, because you'll never live it down if you forget. You know, the cards and letters and it's all. I wrote a whole thing on Valentine's Day, and I'll put it on Facebook next week. Some things you just don't do on Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. Winter is still here. The nights are cold. Cuddle up with a good book. You should be reading, even to little kids.
Even to little kids.
If nothing else, you should get the little kids out there. They like to read. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks
It's been
for
a
having
pleasure.
me.
I think it's